Alright guys, so in the last video we looked at all the different functions that we can use to evaluate regular expressions, but we didn't really look at some of the, patterns and some of the meta-characters and symbols we can use, things like that. So that's what we're going to do in this video, but before we want to do that, I want to create a custom function that will basically console log and say whatever we put in contains the regular expression, or I'm sorry, the regular expression contains whatever we put in or does not contain whatever we put in. Just a cleaner way of handling the result. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a function, and we'll just call this retest for regular expression test. All right, and we're actually going to use the test method. We're going to say if, and actually this is going to take in two things, the regular expression and the string. And we're going to say if re.test wrap the string, then we want to console.log, and we're going to put in some backticks here, and we're going to say that the string matches the re.source, okay? Because the re.source will keep out the slashes and just give us the expression. Else, then what do we want to do? We want to console log. Let's just grab this. Okay, and this time we're going to say does not match the regular expression. This should actually be matches. All right, and then I also want to do exec as well, right above it. So let's see, we'll just to give us another type of output. So we'll say const str. This is what we'll actually be editing. The string will be editing, and then we'll also do const result equals re.exec, and then pass in the string, and then log the result. I'll say console.log result. All right, so we'll get two logs. Let's put a comment here. We'll say string to match, and then this will be log results. All right, and we just finally want to call this function retest and pass in re and the string. All right, so now we're going to go up above here, and this is where we're going to start to create our regular expressions. So let's say let re, and then I'm just going to keep going down and redefining re so we can do our tests. All right, so we already talked about literal characters. All right, so if we were to say re equals, and then put our slashes in to represent an expression literal, and say hello, and then in here we'll say hello world and save, and you can see null. We're getting null from this part, from the exec, and then we're getting hello world, which is the string, does not match hello, which is the expression. And the reason it doesn't match is because we don't have the case, the case sensitive flag. So if we were to add the I here and save, now it will match, okay, because it's case insensitive. So you can see we're going to get the result array from the exec, and then we're also going to get our little custom message from our custom retest function. All right, so that's how this is going to work. Now let's step away from just the literal characters. Well, we're going to use literal characters along with meta-character symbols. All right, so let's say meta-character symbols, and there's different types of meta-characters. These are symbols that we can use. So let's say re equals, and let's look at the caret symbol. So this is the shift 6 character, and then we're just going to put an H here, and let's also use the I flag. All right, so what this means, what this does is it means must start with. Okay, so if we go ahead and rerun this, we're going to get basically a true. Okay, hello matches this expression because it's saying that whatever this is, this string, it has to start with an H, and it can be case insensitive. If I were to remove that I, then we're going to get null, and it does not match. All right, but I'm going to keep the case insensitive flag. Now, if I were to put Brad hello world and save, we're going to get null. We're not going to get a match because it's not starting with the letter H. Okay, if I were to put an H here, HRAD or whatever, that will work because it's starting with the letter H. Okay, so just remember, this symbol means start with. Okay, and at the same time, we have ends with. So we'll say must ends with, and that's the money sign. All right, now this string hello world ends with a D, so let's go ahead and put a money sign after it. So this is saying it must end with a D. Let's save and run, and we get okay, it matches. You can see the index is at 10, which is right here. Now, it doesn't have to be just one character. We could do the word world, and that would match because it is in fact ending with the word world. We could even do a lowercase because we have the case insensitive flag. Okay, but if we did like F world and save, that's not going to work. If we did space world, that will work because we're basically going from here over, and space world matches. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. So caret is start, money sign is end. Just remember that. All right, now you can also do begins with and ends with. So if we were to say, let's say hello like that, and then let's put the money sign at the end and the caret sign at the beginning. That means that even if we have hello world here, if we save, we're going to get not a match. Okay, we're going to get null, because what this is saying is that it can only be hello. It has to start with hello and end with hello. So if I were to get rid of this and save, that will match. All right. So we'll put a comment here and we'll say must begin and end with. All right, so let's see. The next thing we'll look at is the dot or the period character, and this means that it can match any one character. So what I'm going to do is just copy this, and let's replace the E with a dot. All right, so this we'll say matches any one character. So if we go ahead and save this and run, this will pass. Now this will also pass if I put in, let's say, R and save, that'll pass. If I put in a 1, that'll pass. If I put in a symbol, that will pass. Anything here I can put in replace of this dot. It's basically like a wild card. Now, the difference between this and the asterisk, which we'll look at next, which is the actual wildcard, is it has to be one character. For instance, I couldn't say, EE like that. If I do that, it's not going to match because this is 2 extra characters. This defines 1. All right, now let's try it with the asterisk. So if I were to do that, what this does is it matches any character 0 or more times. Okay, so if I go ahead and run that, let's see, why didn't that work? Actually, I want to remove the start and finish from both of these. Okay, so we save that and that works. And the reason it's working is because the asterisk represents any character 0 or more times. So 0, we don't even need that value there. So I could remove it completely and that still matches. All right, so that's a complete wildcard, including nothing at all. All right, so now let's take a look at the question mark, which is an optional character. So what I'm going to do is give you an example here of something you might actually use. and that is the word gray. Okay, so when we have the word gray, sometimes it's spelled with an A, sometimes it's spelled with an E. So what I want to do is have an optional A or an optional E. And the way that you define that is by putting a question mark after the character that's optional. So we're going to say an E is optional, and an A is optional. All right, so let's go over here and we'll just say optional character, and then down here let's put in gray, see if that matches. It does. Okay, we get our response back. And if I put an E here and save, that matches. If I put an I and save, we get null. All right, now since both of them are optional, I can also just do GRY and that will still work, okay, because they're both optional. All right, and I'm going to show you another way of doing this as well. But for now, the next thing I want to show you is escaping characters. All right, so actually let me just bring that down. So we'll say escape characters. Now, what if we wanted this to be gray with an actual question mark, and the question mark being used as a literal? So to escape something, just like you would with, you know, a regular JavaScript string, you want to use your backslash. Okay, so let's put a question mark here. Now, if we leave it this way, it's basically saying that Y is optional. So if I save this, this will work, but it's basically saying Y is optional, so I can put like a 4 here if I want, and that'll still work. And that's not what I want it for. I want the question mark to be a literal, so I'm gonna prefix it with a backslash. So now I'll save, and it works. It's a match. And if I try to change the Y to like R, we get null because it's no longer optional. The question mark is just being taken as a literal. All right, so these are some of the meta character symbols. Now in the next video, I'm going to continue with this same file, and we're going to take a look at using brackets, which are used for character sets, as well as braces, curly braces, which are quantifiers, and then parentheses, which are used for grouping. All right, so I will see you in the next lecture.